Hello friends, Raj here. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. This is another mini episode, working through the computer problems. Hopefully next week we'll be back with Monte for a full, normal, beautiful episode. It might be a low-tech version of that, but we shall see. So thank you for the comments last week on scenarios. I've been thinking a lot about them and even got a game in. And this week we're going to talk about reimagining or revisioning of one of the 10 battle book of battles scenarios. So as I was thinking about it more, this book came out 2.5, 3 years ago, I believe. So I've played these scenarios 5 to 10 times each, at least for most of these. So I think some dissatisfaction I might have is I'm just playing the same stuff over and over. You see things kind of develop the same way, so you just want to kind of jazz it up, make it fresh. So this is my attempt at that, and it was a lot of fun. I think I will be doing, I'm going to go through all 10 of these for sure, but first one here, new Feud. You can see this on the, how does this work? Rodge Rules website. I'll have a link to this. And so this is my version of old Feud. And let's go through it. So usual deployment area. You can see right here we got a big hill in the middle. This is harder than it looks. And this hill is going to be in the center of the table, as even as you can make it. And you're going to set up more scenery following the universal method with the following modifications. Whoever rolls highest can decide whether they're first or second player. And then you're going to re-roll ties. So previously you would roll the dice and you're first player or you're not, as fate would have it. So adding a decision point at the beginning, I think is fair and appropriate, and give you something to regret. I should have went second, or I should have went first. That's always good. And then the hill doesn't count as one of the 3 terrain pieces, but you can't put a second hill down, only one hill. So we're going to have a little open area in the middle for some battle here. Deployment and beginning of the game. So it's just usual deployment. In the Book of Battles, there is like an extra little box where you have to put the Challenger. I didn't see much point to that. The Challenger can just move out of the box. Like if you were going to hide them way in the back, you could just move them backwards on your first turn. So I didn't think I needed to put that in here. The first player is going to pick their Challenger, same as before. And the challengers are the same as they are in the book and then with the FAQ. So I know some people think the challengers should be more balanced. Rather than revising that, I just left them as is. I think you'd be within your rights to just change them as you see fit. But I just wanted to keep them the same, honor the Book of Battles in that regard. You still got to buy it. You can't just download this scenario. But I did balance them in a different way, as you'll see. So I just decided to go that route. For deployment, there's a special deployment that goes along with it in the book. I thought the more standard deployment, deploy half your warband. Your opponent deploys their whole warband, and then you deploy your second half as standard. I kind of like that one. Now, in the book, you had a roll-off for first turn, and I thought this was interesting because whoever finishes first gets a +1. But I don't know. I don't like it when the first player isn't actually the one who goes first. So I decided to change that. If you're the first player, you are going first no matter what. And during their first turn, for the special, we can't go all out on the first turn. That's not fair. What I decided was neither player can activate a unit more than once. Now, in the book, it's kind of weird. It says you can't activate any Saga abilities. You know, the whole battle board is Saga abilities, so you can't really activate much. But I just went with you can't activate a unit more than once. So I played tested this once. It seemed to work fine. There was no issues. But I guess I haven't. Is there another scenario like that where I took that from? I don't think that there is. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly, but that is my attempt here. So you get full Saga dice, first player, but you can only activate a unit once. You can't activate them 2 or 3 times and get all shady. So that's how the battle's going to kick off. For special rules, this is where it gets a little different. So we have that hill in the middle, and if you can get your challenger on the hill, completely on the hill, not hanging off, it's got to be totally on, you can claim that hill at the end of your turn, and starting on turn 2, you will get bonus points. So it's kind of like if you remember the old Sacred Ground scenario, you get points for scoring, and this is ongoing during the game. It's not at the end of the game. So I really, really like scoring stuff during the game. And if we go through as I revise all these scenarios to make them crunchy and juicy for me, that's probably something that is going to be in most of them. Okay, so the number of points you score is dependent on the challenger you choose. So if you choose the trader, the princess, or the mystic, kind of, you know, the lower tier quality challengers, you'll score 2 bonus points at the end of each of your turns if you're on the hill. And that's pretty cool. If you choose the soldier or the counselor, these are kind of your mid-tier challengers, I would say, you're going to score 1 bonus point. And if you choose the brute, everybody's favorite, he doesn't score any points. He's not smart enough to score any points because he's an absolute savage. The only way he gets points is by clubbing people to death. So that is the extra little spice that I put in here. Okay. End of game, I changed slightly as well. So we have the pull towards the center with this bonus scoring. So if you play this scenario a bunch of times, you'll know typically the challenger hangs out in the deployment zone in a piece of hard cover, the rocky ground or the ruins. And then finally on turn 4, he comes out and he just moves 1 inch forward. So he's in the big scoring box. He's not within L of any table edge. So this will encourage folks to get the challenger out there. I mean, if they're the challenger, they got to have some chutzpah, and some scoring is the reward for that. So I didn't think the game should end on turn 4 because that was always the threat in the prior version, was that the game could end before you moved them out. So this one will just end on turn 5, perhaps. The second player rolls a dice, and on a roll of 4+, the game ends immediately. If that doesn't happen, then you play turn 6. So there's a little sum there. This is kind of close to a pitch battle, and kind of having the random turn generally helps things out. What's still in here is if the game ends, any challenger not in the area is eliminated. So the area for this is the hill. You have to be on the hill as the challenger at the end of the game, or else you are not going to be alive anymore. You don't have the secret stuff for people to follow you, I guess. So the challenger has to be on the hill at the end of the game, or else they're eliminated. And then I did leave in the kind of automatic win. If you kill their challenger and your challenger is alive, you win the game. I kind of like that scoring. Makes things interesting. If you're getting beat up on Massacre, go for the challenger and keep yours alive. Maybe you got a chance. So I liked that. If both challengers died or they both survived, then you go to the massacre points, and then you add in those bonus points you accumulated. So if you kind of win, if you just kill their guy and your guy lives, none of those bonus points actually mattered. But if it goes to the kind of the tie, and then you'll add the points in. Player with most points win. In the case of a tie, the player who scored the most bonus points will win the game, and if that's tied, then it's a draw. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you like the draw range? I kind of don't like the draw range. I think for a tournament, maybe you could put something in there, but if you're just playing a one-off pitch battle with your bud, I think if you win by a little bit, you should win, in my opinion. And then that's this scenario. Let me know how it sounds. And then I have 4 optional variants to this that you can play with your buds. So I wanted to kind of build in, just some interesting changes you could do. So if you're playing with your buds, you want to play the scenario a second time or a third time, you can just make some easy change here to kind of make it a little different, so you're not just playing the same thing over and over. So the first variant is Ancestral Home. In this one, you place a ruins in the center of the hill, and then you score points for being in the ruins and not the hill. And then just to make things even, you don't use the rocky ground terrain piece, and you can't put a second ruins down either. So that one should be interesting as well. A nice little variant. It's a smaller box, but then, defending is a little easier, and you can't be shot out as well. So that might be an interesting variant. This next one is Control. So to score the bonus point at the end of the turn, the enemy challenger must not be on the hill. So this one kind of balances it back towards the brute, in my opinion. So if he's on the hill, which he probably will be, he doesn't mind. It makes scoring impossible. So that's an option you can play if you think my changes went too far in one direction. Another version is Next of Kin. You take out the automatic win condition for slaying the enemy challenger, and you just automatically score massacre points at the end of the game. And then in this version, the challengers are worth 6 victory points, so 4 for being a hero, and then they are a mercenary hero, so 2 more, so that adds up to 6. And then the last variant is the Raj and Monty Variant. So folks might remember sometime last year or the year before, Monty and I came up with versions of ourselves for the old Feud scenario. And if you use the Raj and Monty version, you can throw those in. And Monty scores 2 bonus points each round. He's a very tame fellow, in my opinion. Rodge, Monty made my rules, and he made the Rodge kind of jacked. So he doesn't score any points, same as the brute. So hope you like the sound of this. I'd love for folks to give it a try. This is available for download on the Rodge Rules website. I'll have a link in the video description below. And then I also went back and put 2 other scenarios that I made in this format. So one of them is King of the Hill, and essentially it's this scenario, but you don't use a challenger. To score bonus points, you just get a unit that generates a saga dice on the hill. And then there's a version called Hallowed Ground that doesn't use a hill. It just puts a token or something in the middle. And then that one, the terrain is a little closer in, so you don't have a big hill dominating. And then it uses survival points instead of massacre points. And then both of those also have 4 additional variants that you can play around with. So that's like 15 scenarios you can play with your buds. And hopefully people find them useful. If you're a TO, feel free to use these. And I think it'd be cool if the TO's like, we're playing new Feud, and we're going to use the Ancestral Home variant. Just indicate that right in the tournament doc. I think is kind of cool. Now, next week, Monty and I are going to talk about scenarios. I'm sure we'll talk about what I came up with here today. And then we're going to have, each of us are going to come up with our own scenario as well, in addition to this. I know in discussions between him and I, it often comes back to terrain placement being too similar or too stale in most scenarios. So I think we might play around with that. But we'll come up with nice versions of those with variants as well. So I think within the next week here, we should have 25 different scenarios with all the variants included for people to try. So hopefully that gives back to the community. And thanks everybody for watching this. If you have any feedback on the scenario, let me know. Post below. And let me know what you think. If you disagree, I would really love for you to describe what your version would be. And maybe I'll do it up in fancy graphics like this and post it to the website if I like your spin on it. I don't think having more options out there is a bad thing at all. And looking forward to seeing what people chat about. But that's it for this week. Hopefully we can get back to the normal longer episodes here soon. And thanks for sticking with me. I'll check you later, guys. All right. Bye-bye. Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.